All right.
Essentially, my point is that obviously this relates to guarding services. But what we see there is a certain, as a contact person, as you've started, is Director Malachi. Who's Director Malachi?
Director Malachi is the Director for Protection Services by APSS.
And ordinarily, does he report to you?
He reports to Deputy Commissioner Spies.
Okay. And then, so this is at this point of specification. If we go further, at page 202, I do apologize.
Where do we see here, Mr. Kakane, that this is about specification? Just refer us to the relevant part.
Oh, apologies, Chair. I think it's literally from the point where it's starting from what's this thing? Compulsory briefing session for the tender. But it's not that there is a word
All
that
right,
says
okay.
specification.
All right. All right, please continue.
Thank you. But I'll refer to Chair, but at 202, this is the process. This is where this tender is being at valuation level, and it states in the middle of the page there's PD valuation committee members. You see that?
Yes, I see it.
And you see that Mr. Chugudu Malachi is part of the BEC.
Yes, I see.
Okay. Thank you. The point I was just making is the involvement of TMPD in the entire process. Thank you, Chair.
Perhaps, Commissioner, Mrs. Kakane, the answer to the chairperson's question, you find it in file 1 at page 57. That's part of the, I think that document is called the Supply Chain Management Policy. If you go to page 57, and then paragraph 2 right at the bottom tells you who constitutes the BEC, and paragraph B thereof. Do you see where I'm reading, Commissioner? That file 1 that had your statement.
Oh, and that's file 2.
The one that has your statement?
On my statement?
Yes,
Okay.
the file that has your statement.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
At page 57.
Yeah.
So this is the supply chain management policy that we are looking at. And at 57, 2B, it tells you who, in fact, 2 tells you who makes up the BEC. And B says it will be composed of officials from the departments requiring the goods and services. I think that's the answer to the chairperson's question. Who is in the BEC and what is their role? You see that?
Yes, I see that, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I see that, Commissioner.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Skakan.
Thank you. Please
Thank you,
proceed.
Commissioner.
Is there anything that stops Mr. Mnisi from appointing an official from TMPD into the BAC? Is that precluded? Because he's the one who constitutes these committees. Is there anything that stops him from appointing the same Mr. Malachi to be a member of the BAC?
Commissioner, if I can see what you are referring to, then I can maybe. I know that evidence leader has now pointed out in terms of the BEC and as well as the BS conditions that I was now, that Commissioner Baloya has now made clear here. If there's any way that you, if we come there, if you can just point that out for me so that I can just look at that evidence.
So in page
57.
Sorry. On page 57 of Annexure YF1, Commissioner Baloyi referred you to the bid evaluation committee and its composition. And the main paragraph 2 says, all the standing BECs established by the accounting officer must, and then B says composed of officials from the departments requiring goods and services. So those are the end users. And then if you go to page 59, I'm not sure if this is the rest of the policy. There seem to be the concluding pages missing. But it deals with the composition of the bid adjudication committee, and you see that in 2.24.3. And I had understood you to be saying earlier that the CFO is responsible for the procurement process, so he will appoint members of these committees. And my question was, is there anything that precludes him from appointing a commissioner's peace or a Mr. Malachi to be members of the BAC? So it is all tied to Chair's question, does the TMPD play any role in the procurement process? And we've established that at specifications they are there. We've established that at evaluation they should be there, the policies say so. So the last leg of it is, in the adjudication phase, is there anything that precludes the CFO from appointing a TMPD official to be a member of the adjudication committee?
Commissioner, my understanding is that the accounting officer is appointing. The accounting officer,
The city manager.
the city manager.
So is there anything that precludes the city manager from appointing a commissioner's peace to be a member of the BAC?
You're talking about the city manager?
Yes. Remember, we concerned with whether TMPD plays any role in the adjudication process. And I had understood your earlier answer to be they don't play a role there. But my question is there anything that stops whoever the appointing authority is from appointing a TMPD officer or any of the deputies or even you to sit in the BAC to evaluate or adjudicate a particular tender? And to be fair to you, Commissioner, if you are not sure, maybe you can provide the answer at a later date or through a supplementary statement, because it's going to be important when we make our recommendations. If we see that there are gaps in how security services are procured, then we should close that gap as well. So
Yes,
if you don't have an answer right now, it's unfair of me to, on the spot expect you to give the answer. It's something that if you're not sure, you can deal with it at a later stage.
Commissioner, I will prefer to give a supplementary in that regard. I want to make 100% sure. I want to dot my I's and make sure that I look at all the, I could look at the MFMA, I look at the SCM. I really want to give a proper answer. So, and you are correct. So if there is maybe recommendations that we can put in place, and if it is that something has happened or it can happen in future, we will have to make sure that that doesn't repeat itself again, or maybe if it hasn't happened in future, it can happen in future. So I will prefer that I get that homework, and then I will give the supplementary, a detailed one also, and quote also from the SCM policy, and also look at all the municipal sorts of policies and how it can be done. So if I can be able to get homework, I will prefer that.
If I understand Commissioner Kumalo's question correctly, it relates to the appointment of members of the bid adjudication committee. I want to take you back to the BEC, the Bid Evaluation Committee, and paragraph 2 at page 57, which Commissioner Malloy referred you to. I see there's reference there to the word standing. All the standing BECs established by the accounting officer must, then AB, and so on. I just want to focus on the word standing. What's the import of that word here? Does it suggest that there are standing BECs and also ad hoc BECs, or what exactly is the import of that word?
Commissioner, how I understand it, if you in that relation, it must be a BEC that is obviously signed off by the accounting officer. I cannot have my own BEC. It must be standing BECs established by the accounting officer. That is how I understand it. My main 2 words I'm taking from there, or 3 words, is it must be established by the accounting officer.
Yes, I do realize, of course, that as the commissioner of the TMPD, you are not necessarily an expert in procurement, so perhaps we are putting you in a difficult position.
No, that is
to
very
the
good,
extent,
Commissioner.
Sorry. Sorry, you said what?
I said, no, Commissioner, this is very good.
Yes.
You cannot walk away from here and you don't learn.
Yes,
Or,
yes.
or maybe you've read it. I've read it 1,000 times.
Yes.
But I see Commissioners breaking it down. So it gives me, I'm learning something, and it's good to learn.
Yes.
So as you say that I'm not an expert when it comes to supply chain management, obviously.
Yes, yes. Of course, it does not, I'm not suggesting that you know nothing about it, not at all. Perhaps when you do that supplementary affidavit, you may also just want to touch on the import of the word standing in 24.22, paragraph 20, clause 24.22. But of course, if somebody with more knowledge on matters relating to procurement will be called, then is that person who may
Don't give my homework away, Commissioner.
the necessary
So
evidence in this
I
regard.
will write it out 20 times.
Thank
and I
you.
won't forget.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, Mrs. Kakani.
Sorry, before that, maybe Commissioner, as you do that exercise, you should look, when you look at 24, 1B, it's the one that speaks about a standing bid evaluation committee. And then it tells us what committees those are. I think it's a services infrastructure and corporate services. Those are your standing committees. And then when you then go on to another paragraph, 25.15 at page 59, it says the accounting officer may appoint other special BECs as and when the need arises. So keep that in mind. But also look at the functions of the standing committees. So for example, you will find somewhere that the corporate services standing committee, BEC, is also responsible for TMPD tenders, among others. So maybe that whole 24-25, look at that as you try to resolve who's responsible for what.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. And of course, I think other people from SEM are still going to come. Perhaps they will also try and break down these issues about the BECs. In terms of the budgets, from the specification stage onwards, How, do you have any knowledge how that is dealt with? So for example, for these security services, what informs the budget and how far, what powers would the user department have in relation to budget? So for example, if it's 800 million, how would it be determined?
It's the amount of sites that is allocated, and then how many sites that needs to be guarded. And then obviously it will be, make sure that how much the amount that must be paid to the service provider, how many guards, and then that will be, you will times that per month, and then obviously by 12. So that actually informs the budget.
Yeah, okay. Then what I'm trying to get at is whether, for example, let's say a certain official that is responsible, Mr. Malachi, for example, and I'm not picking on him. He would inform in the specification meeting or committee that we require this budget for these services or for this tender, and then let the other members know that this is what we require, let's say 800 million, and then who has the final decision on the actual funds? That would be the value. Would it be the CFO?
The budget will, it's every year, so the budget is already there. So in terms of how many, we've got, as I said, we've got in-source security, that is, we've got in-source and outsource security. Now the in-source is the 1,271 that we have.
So
And
perhaps maybe let me clarify my question, and I do apologize. If in a scenario where the budget, is there no way of checking whether the budget requested is higher than what it should be?
The budget as requested is linked to how many sites are being guarded. If there's more budget that is required, for example, if there may be, you require more guards at the site because of vandalism and break-in, say you only had one, but because of whatever situation, you need to require more. However, there must be a reason why you put additional guards. That is what, when I stumbled across the ad hoc, I wanted to know what influenced ad hoc? What is your definition of ad hoc? Because you cannot just put additional guards, but nothing has happened to influence that. That is just for me logic. What made you put additional guards there? That for me, it was the crux that I would like to go in more deeper when I come to that topic, why I stopped the ad hoc deployment. If I will be allowed, commissioners, if I can do that. I would really want to, what made me stop it, and I would like to go more deep into that when I come to that paragraph or that heading.
Thank you. Please proceed. We will come back to it. So you had, I think you will start with paragraph 21.
I'm at 12 of 23.
To your statement, if you file one, please, apologies. That is file one, so paragraph 20, we were dealing with paragraph 20 of your statement.
Yes,
Please
paragraph 20.
proceed to paragraph 21.
In my capacity as the Chief of TMPD and the accounting officer, I do sign service level agreements drafted by legal services and supply chain management, which relates to TMPD insofar as I may be so authorized directly or through a delegation. Where necessary, I delegate signing powers.
This is probably a small matter, but I'm used to the concept accounting officer in relation to
TMPD.
in this.
To TMPD.
I-
Yes.
Is that term
Yes,
ever
Commissioner.
used? Is it ever used? I know of only one accounting officer, which
That's the
would
city
be
manager.
the city manager, yes.
So in my capacity as the Chief of Police of TMPD, comma, I do sign service levels agreement.
I'm not saying you are wrong, you know it better.
No, I think,
It's
no,
just
Commissioner.
that- It's just that I'm not
Yeah,
used
I
to.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree, Commissioner.
All right. So we scratch out and accounting officer.
And accounting
in the
officer.
sentence.
Agreed.
All right, thank you.
Agreed, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I have sufficient experience in municipal policing and management of municipal policing, as stated above, since 2016. I've been at the helm of municipal police departments. This position requires you to have ultimate responsibility and oversee the running of the department. However, commissioners, do not forget, I have deputy commissioners as per page 7, because you cannot expect the president of the country must be responsible for the whole country. That's why he's got ministers. So the same with me. I'm not abdicating my responsibility, definitely not. That's why I meet with my deputy commissioners Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. On a Monday, deputy commissioner of admin and support is only joining, because on a Wednesday, midweek, we want to see how the crime look. Friday, prepare for the weekend. And then I have a special budget meeting every month. There was times that I didn't have it due to reasons. However, that is the measures I put in place to make sure that I can also have my finger on the pulse. I must continue to caution that my role is management, and therefore I rely on the information provided to me from the deputy commissioners or acting deputy commissioners or any other person who is authorized to perform such. You must also be aware of the various dynamics that have plagued municipalities, such as fraud and corruption. Procurement best practices in terms of C, the law, regulations, and
Apologies, Commissioner. Chair, I'm not certain where the time for breaking, whether it would be 11 or 11:15 before we start this new topic.
11. So you,
11.
or you want
May-
us
may-
to
may I request
adjourn
that
now
we break
before
at
we
this
start
point?
the procurement best practices?
Correct.
Let's adjourn and resume at 25 past 11.